Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Slickmoth, and I'm back again with another video, and in this one I'm going to be reviewing Batman the Killing Joke animated movie, which I did have the pleasure and the privilege to see. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and review it now. And, I want to provide my thoughts on it because I'm such a huge fan of the graphic novel. Even though I'm certainly a believer of the idea that that is not the Joker's origin, I kind of like to believe that it is, but at the same point, I'm also a firm kind of backer of that one line that he says where, in the graphic novel and in the film, you'll see he says something to the effect of, if I prefer to have a past, I'd prefer to be multiple choice. And I'm always a big supporter of that because I like the ambiguity of not knowing the Joker's origin and the idea that he could come from anywhere, and that acid messes with your head. He's literally tripping acid. Okay, that's what the Joker's doing at some point in the backstory. So here's the thing about this film is that if you've seen my tweets, I have strong opinions about some of the things that happened in here, and by some of the things, really just one thing towards the prologue. And for those who aren't aware, Barbara Gordon is pretty much my favorite comic book character, right up there with Batman. So this movie stars Batman and Batgirl, my two favorite comic book characters in the world, in the big whole wide world. Okay, so have you ever heard the saying that as you become fans of something more and more, the more that you critique it, the more critical you are of it, the more you are likely to nitpick it? And this is sort of the thing with Star Wars fans that didn't like The Force Awakens. And now I'm a Star Wars fan. I would consider myself more of a casual one. I've seen all of the movies many of times, and I was really big into it when I was, younger, into the Legos and everything else like that. But, I wouldn't consider myself a buff of Star Wars, okay? So I like The Force Awakens, but what I found is my friends that were really super hardcore into Star Wars, just like absolute, Han shot first, like, those kind of people that will just debate you to no end about Star Wars. They're just massive fans of the franchise, which I, am a fan, not a massive fan. Okay, get the point. They hated The Force Awakens, and it's just because as you become a fan of something more, I've found. This is the case with Batman v Superman as well. I always find critiques with Batman v Superman, even though I love the film, so this may not be the best example, that other people didn't have. Like, I was complaining about, Batman killing and things like that. Nobody else cared, but, and nobody else, I'm being hyperbolic, of course, but, as a big Batman fan, I was taking note of this, whereas other, more Superman-heavy fans, like the Real Comic Gamer, I'll use an example, I'm wearing a Superman shirt here, but he was finding critiques with Superman, and so, that's kind of what I'm talking about. He's a big Superman fan, if you want to wear. So that's kind of the angle that I'm taking this from, because I'm a huge fan of both of these characters, and I feel I'll just come out and say it. The last 2/3 of this movie is amazing. It is the graphic novel ripped up to a movie, and that's exactly what you want, with intermittent scenes as well that kind of lightly carry on the prologue. Now, when I first heard that there was going to be a Batgirl prologue, for those who aren't aware, you're going to get it. The first 30 minutes of the movie is a Batgirl prologue, is what they call it. The thing about it is that it's not a Batgirl prologue. It's about Batman. And this is what really kind of frustrated me about this, because I thought that they were going to characterize a person who is not a character in the original graphic novel. In Alan Moore's 59 or 69 page book, I think it's 59, short book, 60 pages. Barbara Gordon is not a character, she is a plot point. And this is something that I thought the film was going to correct. When I heard a Batgirl prologue and they were talking about it in the interviews, Bruce Timm and everything else like that, they're talking about how they wanted to make Barbara Gordon a character. And I've spoken about in the past how I feel as though the greatest weakness of the book is that you don't get to see Barbara Gordon. So if you don't know who she is, if you don't care about her, you're not going to when she gets shot, and you don't understand Bruce's importance to her. The problem is the direction that this film takes the notion of Bruce not having a connection to Barbara and takes it 10 times too far. You may have seen on Twitter, and this is not a spoiler for the film, at least not all considered. This is going to be the only thing that I mentioned that you may not know, and that is that Barbara Gordon and Batman have sex in this movie. Like, they have actual sex on a rooftop. I'm not joking. Like, I wish I was joking, but I'm not. They have sex on a rooftop. Batgirl rips off her batsuit to show her bra, and they start having sex. In Batman the Killing Joke, the animated movie, I just saw, to me, I still can't believe it. And to me, again, I guess I'll say this. This makes it even worse. Again, I thought they were going to characterize a character who didn't have any real purpose in the original book besides to get shot and to make Batman pissed. And I guess the idea is that you relate with Batman more as what he does towards the end of the film as he's going after the Joker, because you realize that they have a relationship. But okay, well, there's a few problems here. First of all, Batman and Barbara Gordon, they're at least 10 to 12 years apart, more likely 20, depending upon which version of the DCU you're looking at. Here, they're at least 20 years old apart. There's no way. I mean, Barbara Gordon in this film, probably 27, 28. She's coming to, I'm not a Batgirl expert, but, I've read a fair share of Batgirl in my time. So she's coming at the point in which she's retiring as Batgirl. She's under 30 for sure. And Batman, he's up there. He's up there. He's got wrinkles in his face. Let's just say that, okay? So beyond the innate confusion that I have watching the film and Barbara Gordon and Batman are having sex, I mean, he's always been more of a father figure to her. Always. And he's very protective of her, but you see he's protective of her because he has a sexual lust for her. And she initiates on him. She's the one that starts making out with him and reaching at his crotch. Barbara Gordon reaches, like, I'm serious, this is not a joke. This actually happens in the movie. It's like, so this is very unprofessional of her. This is not like her. And those of you that know Barbara Gordon well, I mean, this is not something she would do. First of all, she's very professional in her work. And even more so, she wouldn't do. I don't know. It's all wrong. And to me, Barbara Gordon. Again, the last 2/3 of this movie are excellent. It's the graphic novel ripped in the big screen, but the first third of the movie is simply unwatchable to me. It's I can't fathom how Barbara Gordon is butchered in this movie. I mean, she is absolutely demolished. I can't even explain to you. There's this scene outside of a cafe. Not really a spoiler. Where it's after they've had sex. This is I'm serious right now. Like this is kind of I feel like I'm telling a joke, but this is actually real. Okay, so after Batman and Barbara Gordon have sex, they are they have like 3 days where they don't talk to each other, and she sees a couple fighting outside of a cafe, and he says, "You don't listen to me, Debbie," or whatever. This is just a random couple fighting. She picks him up and throws him into a bush. I guess it's to represent, like, she takes him and throws him. So I guess it's supposed to represent, like, her angst with her relationship with Batman, but it's simply awful. I mean, it just butchers the character. It's totally uncharacteristic, and again, this is kind of the idea, like, I'm a huge Barbara Gordon fan, I will notice even the slightest thing that I feel as though she's been mischaracterized, and much in the same way with Batman and other of my favorite characters. And here she's just chronically mischaracterized as somebody. She's edgy and clingy to Batman, and she just it's terrible. And then she's in the library. It's her home. She's a librarian. That's who she is. And so there's like this other guy working there with her, and all they talk about is how hot Batman is, and she makes a metaphor to him as a yoga instructor. It's just bad. It's bad. I mean, it's really, really bad. You will understand when you watch it. It's just like, if you're a fan of Barbara Gordon, that is, and if you know about her, I mean, I'm not gonna say if you like the prologue, you don't know anything about Batman. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel as though if you're a fan of her, you're gonna take issue with this, like, really big issue. So the prologue's all wrong. I mean, it's all wrong. It mischaracterizes her, and even then, she's very snide, and she's all if you read the comic book, she's very youthful, and she's confident in herself, but she's not. She comes off as snarky and entitled in the movie. I can't get over it. It's all wrong. That's all I can use to describe it. It's all wrong. Her relationship with Batman is all wrong. Again, the fatherly relationship where he feels protection over her. And the problem with the prologue, because the last 2/3 of the movie is phenomenal. It's the comic book ripped into the big screen. But the problem with the prologue is that it almost should be edited out of the film, because it adds nuances to the end of the last 2/3 of the movie that are not good. Okay, an example of this is when Batman. This is not, if you know the graphic novel, this is not a spoiler. Batman goes to the carnival. He sees Commissioner Gordon, and as he rescues him from the cage, he's pulling him out of the cage. And Commissioner Gordon, they're talking about his daughter. And you realize at this point, Batman is keeping a secret from Jim Gordon that he just banged his daughter. And, like, how can and that adds a whole layer to this, that he's not only is he just lying about Barbara Gordon being Batgirl, he just had sex with his daughter. He's not saying anything about it. And poor Jim Gordon, he's so innocent, not knowing about it, and she doesn't tell him. And it's just it just turns Batman into a player. It mischaracterizes Batman. It makes Barbara Gordon look unprofessional. She's on patrol and she just starts randomly making out with Batman. She's advancing on him. Totally uncharacteristic of her. I mean, completely uncharacteristic of her. These are two people that take pride in their work, that, put the people of Gotham among themselves, and they don't do it here. You don't see anything, resembling there. And this is, also, Batman took Batgirl under his wing, literally, I guess, bad joke. Okay, you get it. Literally under his wing. And you just don't, it's all wrong. Batman is like this horny, kind of old, creepy guy sitting in the corner just trying to get laid, and Barbara Gordon is unprofessional and trying to, she's also trying to get laid, apparently. So, and even then, when you transfer to library scenes, all they talk about is sex. All they talk about is how she wants to get married. It's like a weird R-rated spin-off fanfic. It's awful. I mean, it is literally awful. I can't describe to you. It's so bad. You will watch it and your mind will be blown about what is Bruce Timm doing? What is this crap? And I like within a 3-minute span, I laughed out loud at how terrible and cringy some scenes were. And one of the scenes is where Barbara Gordon just takes the guy and throws him into the bush. It's like, what is this? And she's like, good riddance too, or something cringy like this, and it's supposed to show her as like an empowered woman, or I don't know. It's awful. So the first third of the movie is absolutely horrendous. If you can if you're gonna go into the theater, try to skip the first 30 minutes. Because it seriously does taint future scenes, and then when you get to the scene where Batman is beside Barbara Gordon and she says Batman, and it's supposed to be a moment where he's supposed to be thinking about kind of how he failed, and he's supposed to be having flashbacks to when she was much younger, like 19 or 20 in this range, and she was just getting the hang of Batgirl, and he was catching on to her, fighting Killer Moth, in Batgirl Year 1, and depending on which area the cut is doing. But, when she's younger, she's fighting Killer Moth, and she wants to be like Batman, and she looked up to him as an inspiration, and now she's in his pants. It's just, oh, God, it's... People are going to say this happened in the comics. It did not happen in the comics. I'm sorry. You can find examples, and this is what people do with the comic books. People are going to find examples of like, oh, look at issue 272 of your... Yes, comic writers have done shocking things that don't represent the masses of what the character relationship is. The fact of it is, Barbara Gordon and Batman, they're not a relationship. They're not a couple. They're not an item. And those of you, I mean, even if you've played Batman Arkham Origins and you see Batman, full Batman, 25 years old, looking at, little 14-year-old girl Barbara Gordon in the police station, and the fact that Batman would have the audacity to do this, being such close friends with Jim, it's like a scandalous thing at the same point. It butchers Batman's character, and it ruins Barbara Gordon. But what happened is, when I got to the 30-minute mark, I just wiped it all from my memory. And I the best I could, of course. And then when you get to the scene where Batman's besides Barbara Gordon at the bedside, and he's looking at her, then you basically get the idea that he's looking at her not because... as an ally that he felt he was trying to protect because he loved her so much, not as a relationship thing, but he loved her as a daughter of his friend. It's just, the book does it brilliantly there. But here he's looking at her because he thinks she's hot, because he wants to get laid. That's why he's, that's what I interpret when he's looking at her, because he had sex with her, and he willingly, was complicit in doing so. He grabbed her ass as she's reached it. He wanted it. And that just ruins the character of Batman. When they're on patrol, too, on a rooftop of Gotham, there's people that need help, and they're having sex. It's terrible. It's terrible. But I want to talk about the prologue. I want to talk about everything that they do right at the end of the film, towards the later half, because everything with the graphic novel is great. And again, once you get to the 30-minute mark when you're watching the movie, trust me, you're going to need this. You think you won't, you will need it. It is bad. It is as bad as I'm telling you. Once you get to the 30-minute mark, you just need to forget that all of that happened. You need to forget that Barbara Gordon is mischaracterized, and I don't want to give too many examples. You'll see that if you've read her comics, if you've seen her in the Arkham games, she's measured, she's confident. Again, she is confident. She'll make slide remarks, but she's not snarky or entitled or cocky, and she certainly isn't, there's also a scene where she raises her voice, she yells at people, and she's edgy, and she's it's not right, and I don't want to fan on that too long. I could talk about this for hours because I'm just such a big fan of the character that I feel like she was really chronically mischaracterized. And Bruce Timm, what are you thinking, dude? Like, holy shit, get Paul Dini in here. You need him. And now we realize who's the greater half of this two duo, and it's definitely not Bruce Timm, not in the slightest. You know, yeah, I guess he's just having a weird fanfic phase where he wants, you know, people to get. He's always been into this Batman and Batgirl thing, which I find just so weird. I just find disgusting because he's older than her. It's just it's so bad. Okay, let's talk about what they did right. Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy destroyed in these roles. Probably some of their best performances here. You know, Kevin Conroy's in the flashback scenes. There are flashbacks if you haven't read the graphic novel. You know, at points I could kind of hear Kevin Conroy talking and not the Joker, but I guess that's kind of the idea, is like he's just a regular guy, so that was probably intentional there. As per the Joker, of course he kills it. You know, we know that Kevin Conroy and Batman are going to do awesome there, and Kevin Conroy is Batman, so everything's great there. I'm not kidding you when the last 2/3 of this movie are great, and there are scenes added. Don't get the wrong idea that it's just like, well, I did say it's just a graphic novel on the big screen, but there are scenes added. There's characters that you see in the prologue added on, so it's not just like, you know, the first third of the movie is all that's new, because that's certainly not the case. You know, there is stuff to be salvaged in here. In the last 2/3 of the movie, again, I'm gonna watch when I get this movie, I'm actually gonna buy it. I'm going to put it into iMovie. I'm literally gonna chop the first 28 minutes out, and I'm gonna publish it, put it on YouTube in private. I can't make it public, and that's my movie. That is the Killing Joke animated movie, because the first 30 minutes is simply abhorrently, horrendously awful. And if you are a fan of Batman and Barbara Gordon, you will deplore it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. If you're like a more hardcore fan, you know, if you're not just like, I like Batgirl, I don't dislike her, I don't like her, you know, it's just, she's cool. But if you're actually a fan of her, if you've read her comic books, if you've read Batman's comic book, you should be appalled by what Batman does in this book. Now, I like some things in the prologue. I like how Batman is protective of Batgirl. That's always how he is. And he comes off as very rude, but in fact, he's so protective of her after, you know, at this point, Jason has died, of course. You know, this is a decent way into Batman's career, the Killing Joke is. So there's a lot of good stuff here, but Barbara Gordon is don't get the wrong idea. Barbara Gordon is butchered throughout. The whole 30 minutes is just people that don't get her character just completely destroying it. But Batman does have good points throughout. It's just the bad point is when he has sex with Barbara Gordon, and that point. And then you get to the actual last 2/3 of it, and it's Batman again. So there is stuff to be salvaged from the prologue, albeit most of it is quite awful, because Barbara Gordon is just butchered. That I can't say anything else. So I'm focusing on the negatives here. I'm talking most about the negatives, because we all expected this to be good. So to me, it was a shock that I wasn't, you know, blown away by how amazing it was. That kind of shocked me. I was expecting to be wowed at how, you know, this is the best DC animated movie of all time, and it's just not that. But it's quite good. It's good as an animated movie standalone. And one thing I want to point out is that this movie, the narrative is not inherently bad. The voice acting is not bad at all. It's in fact phenomenal. So the problems that I have with the film are as a DC Comics fan. It is that this movie stars two of my favorite comic book characters of all time, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm such a huge fan that I nitpick, whereas other people won't. People are just going to watch this movie and love it. They're going to maybe even be kind of appealed or you know, caught in lust at the you know, the relationship built between Barbara Gordon and Batman. Just not me. I went into the movie knowing I was going to hate this, because I found out beforehand this was happening, and that's why I wanted to and I knew that going in. So I was going in with that predisposition, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll like this, and I did not. In fact, I knew I wasn't going to like it, because I'm such a huge fan of Barbara Gordon, and it just seems ridiculous to me that it would happen, and indeed, it's not right. So, you know, they took some liberties there. I mean, first of all, I love that Barbara Gordon has the suit that she does, and the bat suit that she has, because yeah, I hate the purple crap. I don't like that when she's all purple, because I always thought, you know, she's just like Batman. You know, she hides in the shadows too, and this movie portrays that perfectly. And the action in the prologue is very good as well, and a lot of it is action. It's just once you get to the story, it all goes downhill. So about half of the prologue is good, half the prologue is bad. That's basically the way that I see it. But overall, I wish it wasn't in the movie. I wish they would have added in the latter half, and certainly not the Batman and Batgirl relationship stuff. There's other stuff to add. Add Barbara Gordon. I would prefer it would just be Batgirl on her own. That's what I thought the Batgirl prologue was going to be. But in fact, it features Batman heavily. And the problem with it is that you think that they're characterizing Batgirl and you're making you care about her more, but she's not extended upon further in the last 2/3 of the movie. And what this really is again, as I've mentioned, it is essentially a means by which to basically use her as a plot point and not a character even more. I think I might have mentioned in this video that Barbara Gordon is not a character in the graphic novel. She is just a plot point. And it's very true. And the same thing is here. And she's turned into a double plot point. She's a plot point that not only is she shot and we're supposed to care about her as a person and realize that the Joker is horrific, we're now supposed to care for Batman more because he has a sexual lust for Barbara Gordon and he cares for her on an intimate level. And we're supposed to empathize with that more, and we're supposed to be able to get into his shoes more because this is somebody that he loves, not as a father figure, not as somebody that he raised from the ground up to be the woman that she is today, but because he wants to have sex with her. And that ruins the dynamic, Bruce Timm. It kills it, buddy. So that part, we get it. I've complained about it enough. I don't know what else to say. That it feels off, and I think that if you're a fan of both of these characters, you'll notice it right away. That it's not characteristic of Batman, and nor is it characteristic of Barbara Gordon. There is a difference between Batman, pulling up the cowl to have a kiss with Catwoman, who is the same age as him, and somebody that he doesn't have the same intimate relationship as a fatherly figure as he does to Barbara Gordon, and doesn't know Catwoman's daddy. So it's different here, right? I think we all get that. But the problem is, once again, is that you're not characterizing Barbara Gordon further. You're actually you're using her again as a ploy to make Batman angrier in the third act, and that makes it even worse. It makes Barbara Gordon used as a plot point even worse than it was in the original graphic novel, and that to me is deplorable. So that's the way that I see it as the big Barbara Gordon fan that I am. Let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comment section below. Again, I'm focusing on the negatives. If you were to watch this interview or review, you would think that the movie's awful. It's not. It's not awful. The story is all good. My complaints with the movie are as a DC Barbara Gordon, Bruce Wayne fan, not because the script is terrible, not because the story is terrible. It's not. A lot of you will enjoy the movie for what it is, and the last 2/3 of it is phenomenal. As the big DC, as the big Barbara Gordon, as the big Bruce Wayne fan that I am, I enjoyed the last 2/3 of it. A third of the movie's awful. I figured I'd focus on that because that's more interesting than just talking about how, oh, this scene is right out of the comic books. We all get it. That stuff's awesome. Okay. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for all future DC animated movie reviews and such. Hope you guys have enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.